rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought?
All right, welcome to the Author Your Brand Show. You're going to want to take notes, especially today. I've got a great guest on. Hopefully, there'll be some spicy controversy going on. We always like that. Our guest today is, her title is a content doctor. She's an award-winning content writer and editor for cruelty-free businesses, which is good, I think. And she also offers a suite of services for authors, including her career in PR. She ran conscious public relations for over 10 years. She's authored The Only Public Relations Guide You'll Ever Need in 2019 and Vegan Marketing Success Stories in 2022, which was recently honored by the Vegan Choice Awards. So on her side of the desk, she co-hosts the VEG Veg Networking Canada, Canada's only vegan networking group. And she writes at her own blog. And so welcome to our show today, Ms. Sandra Namoto. Sandra, how are you today?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Doing good. Okay. Before the show started, we talked a little about the vegan thing. I'm looking for something, controversial. So I'll just say this. If you're not a vegan, if you don't know any of them that means you probably need to understand their world mindset in case you want to market to them. Or maybe it has nothing to do with your book or your product or service might not have nothing to do with veganism, but it's a growing group of people. So you might want to be aware of what their thoughts are so you can market to them, right? Is that a fair statement to say?
Yeah, 100%. And think of all of the young folks who are coming up against climate change and the lifestyle habits that they want to espouse. And if you're a business, you need to be up on this if you want to retain those younger consumers.
Great. Well, let's focus on the vegan thing. That's very interesting to me because I'm not one, but I'm interested to know more about it because I don't, doesn't bother me at all. So how did you get involved with that side of business? Were you always a vegan?
It'll be 5 years in April this year as a vegan, and my previous business was not in this world. So right around the time I closed that company, Conscious PR, was the same year I happened to go vegan. That was a goal of mine for many years.
Right.
And then about a year and a half later, after kind of exploring different career options, wondering what my next move was going to be, I sat down to meditate at the end of 2019. And then that intuitive voice came to me and it was like, you're vegan now and you're always going to be writing for the rest of your life. So put those two things together and start helping out this industry.
It just came to you, right? This is what I'm going to do with my direction. All right.
Yeah. Wow. And I've learned when I've ignored my intuition, it just comes back to me years later and stronger and louder. And so I know when I get these aha moments, as you may call it, I always follow it.
Nice. Very good. Okay. So you weren't a vegan before this, or just came to you, so you did a diet change that day or what?
It was a long and slow process, starting from watching the documentary Earthlings at the end of 2007, very impactful, free to watch online. And then over a number of years, slowly eliminating animal products from my diet. And dairy was that very last thing for health reasons. I found out I was sensitive to dairy and it might have been the cause of these horrible digestive symptoms that I was experiencing for many years. So, after kicking that to the curb, I found, all right, well, I've hit the vegan diet. Now everything else is, becomes much easier to not buy animal products for your clothing or your household and things like that. So,
right. So was it, the food thing, some people have a challenge with it. Some people, come and go. Was it difficult for you to make that transition?
Like I said, I did it over a number of years. So very slow process of elimination. A lot of people find it difficult because in their social circles, if they're the only vegan amongst their friends or their family members, again, do not understand why they're making these choices. It can be difficult to be sitting, with the turkey on the holiday table. And then, but again, if I always bring my own entrees, and whenever people are open to having conversations about why I'm vegan, I tell that, and I provide, hopefully provide some educational information, and then open people's eyes to why we want to live this lifestyle.
Right. Was it difficult on the non-food side? I'm thinking, shoes and stuff like that. Was that difficult to go with Canvas or whatever it is?
Not really, because there's so many great companies right now that are offering, I live in Canada, so winter coats are really important to us, but there's so many companies that are offering, these thick coats that are not made of down.
Right.
So really great alternatives out there. Same thing with boots. I don't need to wear leather boots anymore. There's so many
Mhm.
alternatives.
Right.
I find probably the biggest thing is like your car. There's a lot of car companies are still using leather, but many are switching
Sure.
to plant-based leather alternatives. And then
Mhm.
your home, so things like your down comforter, that
Yeah.
can be quite expensive to replace. And so there are things like that I still have, around the house, but at some point when they need to be replaced, then it
Yeah.
would be a vegan replacement.
Yeah, good for you. Okay. So one of the things I find interesting about the topic is people have their their belief and value system, which I always respect, but I'm always curious about when you take your belief value system and try to push on somebody else. So tell me more about that in terms of the vegan world, in terms of like, hey, this is what I want to do for me, and then encouraging others, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, that's such a big question. I think every business approaches that a little bit differently, right?
Mhm.
Some are going to be a lot more yeah, they almost seem like activists. A
Yeah.
great
Right.
example of this is VFC, which stands for Vegan Fried Chicken. It's a
Mhm.
UK based company, and they're all about trying to get people off of eating real chicken products, right? So
Mhm.
naturally, a lot of their activism involves, here's what a real chicken, factory farm looks like.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Mhm.
And then talking about how great their products are. I haven't been able to try them because they're not available here, but they look delicious. And one cool thing that they do that I mentioned in my book is they
Right.
use the trolls that comment on their social media posts, and they actually use them in their ad campaigns. So these are all bus stations, train stations,
Yeah.
like they've highlighted their trolls as a part of
Yep.
their campaign just to get people to like kind of think
Conversation.
differently. And then they
Right.
they choose a cluckwit of the month, and that one troll gets highlighted in a blog post and a number of social posts. And so I just think it's brilliant because it's
Yeah.
using your naysayers, people who don't care for your company or your products,
Right.
and spinning it to market their own company. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
So in your world, with your book and all that, are you focusing on people who are already vegan or people who are just considering it, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, as great as I would love to just market to the vegans, we're not even 5% of the world's population yet. And so
Really?
if you're choosing that as
Yeah.
your primary business audience, you're niching yourself down. And there's nothing wrong with that if you feel like you've got enough of a customer base
Sure.
to run your business. But
Right.
yeah, one big thing I learned from my book is that most vegan businesses do cater to omnivores because we want to usher non-vegans along this plant-based spectrum and get you closer, get you more away from consuming animals and closer to consuming more plant-based alternatives.
Okay. And then, just I'd probably be better off asking you this versus me, but vegetarian versus vegan, what's the main difference there?
Vegetarians still may consume some dairy and eggs.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was sort of this bigger umbrella, and then veganism formed as, I would say, a subset
Right.
that is really defined by like as much as possible zero use of
Right.
animal products.
Okay. And is your or I forget, how about the other people you're working with? Are they mainly focusing on the aspect for health or for environment or something else when they go vegan?
It's really different for every business how much
Hmm.
of that kind of messaging that they want to put in.
Right.
One company that I've worked with is Bread. It's a plant-based bakery, the only one in Whistler, which is a snow town about
Yeah.
2 hours north of where I live.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of our stuff is about highlighting the winter season, the snow
Hmm.
sports, the athletes, that sort of thing. And so veganism every now and then pops in into the content,
Right.
but yeah, we kind of look like we always look at what are the different angles that we can take that
Yeah.
are right for your business. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah,
So, and but before you did this, you were doing conscious marketing, conscious publishing. Would you call
conscious
it?
PR. Yeah.
Conscious PR. Um, you using the same principles you had there in your book, I'm guessing, right? your
Yeah,
PR?
I mean, as a PR firm, we mostly did media outreach, publicity for our
Mhm.
clients, and then we added social media services closer to the last few years.
Okay.
Yeah, now my work is quite different. It's focused more on writing content or
Mhm.
editing content that my clients want to draft up themselves first,
Right.
consulting, and then helping folks who want to publish books. So
Nice.
on the author side.
Okay. And so what are some of the best practices for getting these the books out there for your clients?
Yeah, having done this myself for a good number of months, um, yeah, you really got to have a solid campaign. And
Mhm.
because there are, about 100 companies that I included in the book, I couldn't even wrap my head around
Yeah.
what is my content plan for this launch. So I actually hired a marketing strategist to help me, and she was
Mhm.
great. She came up with a 90-day strategy that included daily social posts,
Mhm.
weekly blogs, and then weekly newsletters. So at the time, I was only sending out newsletters once a quarter, if
Yeah.
you can believe that.
Yeah.
So really stepped it up to weekly, and then now
Yeah.
I've scaled back to going to once a month now, that
Right.
because that my book launch phase is now over. But I'm still doing things like this,
Of
podcast
course.
interviews, and
Yeah.
that's really important to get
Uh-huh.
your book out there. Otherwise, it's just going to sit on the
Right.
literal or digital shelf.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So how did it go for you with this? How long is running the campaign now for your book launch?
Well, the ebook came out in September, and then the hard copy and audio in November. So a
Okay.
good, yeah, I can't count how many months that is. Maybe
Okay.
six. Yeah,
Whatever. Few
we're
months.
near. Yeah, 5 months. 5 months, I would
Sure.
say. Yeah.
And so tell me how it's working for you. How sales or engagements? Tell me about the results of your marketing.
Yeah, it's been so great to see. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not a New York Times bestseller or anything like that right now, but yeah, the sales have been slowly trickling in. And what's so cool is people around the world finding it, and
Mhm.
they'll post a little story and tag me in it.
Yeah.
Just yeah, it's so cool to hear folks around the world purchasing it and sharing that with me. And then
Right.
of course I had a few local launches where I got to
Mhm.
physically sign books. That's my
Nice.
absolute favorite thing to do, is sign books for folks. So
Yeah.
so yeah, doing my best.
That's great. Congratulations on that. Yeah, I've got a couple of friends. One of my friends became vegan, I think about 2 years ago or so. And he's in Texas, and he's on Facebook saying, "Where can I find a vegan restaurant?" And somebody said, "You're in Texas." It's like, good luck. It's like cattle
Although
ranches all over the
I
place.
hear Austin is quite a food
Yeah,
centric town,
Austin
so
would definitely
you've
be
got to
very.
find it in Austin.
Yeah, Austin for sure. But I don't think he was in Austin. I think he was way far from Austin. So it was just funny because like, well, you got to go where where the culture goes, and it wasn't in
Yeah,
wherever he was at the time.
or just learn to be a really good cook.
That's right. I'm surprised. I just going to make some jokes here. Hope you don't mind. But like, so you said you bring your own entrees to a dinner party?
Yeah, to the family holiday parties. That's how it goes. And when they're really good, so there's a local company
Yeah,
that makes these frozen lasagnas and
yeah,
shepherd's pie. You just stick
right.
it in the oven, and and
Sure.
and a lot of folks are like you're sure this is plant-based lasagna? It's like, are you sure? And it's yeah, I find that so great when
Yeah,
everybody can enjoy, and you can show people that
yeah.
yes, plant-based food can be just as good.
Oh yeah, my daughter's vegetarian, and I mean, I saw whenever we go to a restaurant, unless we go to some place which is barbecue. There's always a option for her for vegetarian stuff. I'm not sure. That's why I asked about the vegetarian versus vegan. If it's hard to get, I mean, if I'm at a restaurant um, and I order something vegetarian, it still might not be vegan for you, right? If they have any kind of dairy something on it, right?
Yeah, and that's when you have to ask the server, or, to
Yeah,
remove the cheese, or ask them what else they can do to like
right.
flavor those vegetables, because you don't just want to have boiled vegetables. That's not good enough for us, right? So
No, no, you need your. Oh, this is mostly broccoli. That's protein in broccoli, of course, but it's gotta. That's probably a big question people give you about where do you get your protein, right? And
yeah.
broccoli is a big one. I know. I'm sure the other thing. What else besides broccoli would be good for the protein question?
Oh, yeah, I mean, a lot of vegetables, but tofu, tempeh, which is fermented soy,
Yeah,
beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, grains,
yeah,
things like quinoa.
yeah.
Yeah,
All the things that taste like crap.
it's
Got it.
actually
Yeah,
really no, again, that's where the seasoning comes in. It's really important.
yeah,
But yeah, it's actually really hard to be protein deficient here in the West, where
yeah,
we have these abundance of foods. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's very cool. Okay. All right. So tell me more about the book. Was it a long process for you? It's not your first book, so was it took you a while to write it or what?
It took me 3 months. So,
Okay.
the end of September 2021, I started sending out my first round of case studies or
Nice.
requests for
Hmm.
stories,
Hmm.
and then the book was sort of written. It wrote itself by the start of January 2022. So,
Wrote
roughly 3
itself,
months.
huh? Just came poured out of you right into the onto the computer screen.
Yeah, I mean, the nerve-wracking part is just you send out these requests and are people gonna bite, right? So
Mhm.
once I got that first one or the first few, I was like, all right, I'm on to something and we're
Yeah,
gonna build a book here. So
terrific.
yeah, I started getting inspired as the stories started coming in. So I didn't want to
Uh-huh.
wait till, okay, I have 50 stories. Now let's write the book. I started as they started coming in. And so yeah, it happened very
Uh-huh.
organically. And yeah, and I would work on it, on my off time when I wasn't working with clients.
Sure.
And so, yeah, that really helped, kind of, yeah,
Okay.
help me with that
What was
timeline.
what was the biggest challenge for you in drafting and writing the book and getting it out there? The hardest part for you?
I tell people the hardest part's always just marketing. The
Mhm.
easy part is the writing of the book, especially a book like mine where
Mhm.
there's a lot of contributors.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's the marketing. It's getting it out there, appearing
Mhm.
on shows like this. Yeah, signing books.
Yeah.
Just yeah, getting it out there as much as you can. And I've certainly yeah been trying to get around in the vegan world in all those Facebook and LinkedIn groups.
Right.
But also non-vegan media as well, who would be interested in picking it up. So
Sure.
or just interested in yeah in
Mhm.
what I have to say.
What are you saying? What is the core issue or the core theme of the book?
Well, if you are vegan and running a business or have a marketing role in a business, this will hopefully give you some new tips you haven't thought of
Mhm.
from the contributors and the other examples I provide. If you are not vegan, perhaps you found yourself in a marketing role in a vegan company and you don't have that mindset of a
Mhm.
vegan,
Mhm.
this will give you an idea of, yeah, of some of the things that, again,
Right.
businesses are currently doing. Because I think,
Okay.
yeah, again, this veganism and living a plant-based lifestyle is going to become more and more the norm. And so again, even if you're not there yet, you haven't started,
Mhm.
yeah, just be aware of what's happening in this industry because it is getting bigger. And yeah, like I said at the top, a lot of youth
Mhm.
are very aware of this sort of thing because of the um, uh, because of climate change and the way that things are going if we can't turn it around. So
Uh-huh. I can leave that for a topic for a different day.
yeah.
Why is it why is it that um, vegans or the vegan activists feel they should tell me what I should eat, but as a omnivore, I don't tell them?
Well, I would challenge you and say that there are a lot of companies that are telling everyone, not just vegans, but everyone what to eat. And this has happened for a long time when
Mhm.
animal agriculture, came into the scene, the meat, the pork industry, the dairy industry, like in the mid 20th century.
Yeah.
We didn't have the internet at that time.
Mhm.
We had traditional media,
Right.
TV, newspapers, and they got a heads up on educating the consumer about why you should eat animals. Whereas veganism, the term vegan didn't even start until 1944. And so I feel
Mhm.
like time wise, we're decades behind. However, we have amassed a lot of the actual scientifically proven information to back
Mhm.
up our claims that, here are all the reasons why you should try and reduce your animal intake. And so
Yeah, I
yeah,
understand that. There's the lobbying groups and the marketing. There's no Broccoli Growers Association. There's only
yeah.
McDonald's lobbying group, pharma. I get that, but I don't think they tell us what not to do. They just tell us you should buy more, drink more milk, buy more pork, but they don't tell us you shouldn't do something. And I think that's a big
Mm.
differentiator. Can you
Yeah,
comment
because
on
I
that?
think because it's more positive to say eat this versus don't eat this.
Right.
Yeah, from a public relations standpoint, we
Yeah.
always say it's better to frame something positively got milk, got strong bones.
Right.
That's how they won. But now, yeah. And here's the challenge for vegan businesses is how to frame that positively. And I think we have all the information we need now to frame that positively so that we can hopefully undo a lot of the damage that a lot of these animal ag companies have made.
Yeah. But the got milk people didn't say only drink milk and don't go meat, or that, you can't eat vegetables. They would still be inclusive, to use a liberal term here, as opposed to vegans are saying you're destroying the world by having a cup of milk or eating an egg. I mean, there's got to be, you've got to see the difference there between someone who's omnivore versus someone saying you can only do one thing. Like a carnivore person might be a better debate because they say don't eat any plants, right? Because you're killing all the insects and the wheat and stuff. But an omnivore person would say, hey, buy our product and you could also buy other products.
Yep. Yeah. And again, that's the challenge for folks in this industry is we are competing against omni companies. And so again, just trying to tout the benefits, I think is really key. PETA's been a leader in the space, but it's arguable whether they've been effective or not because of their tactics have been quite extreme.
They're not positive, like you mentioned. It's better to be positive about it versus these people tossing paint on paintings recently. I'm like, what's that about? That's just ridiculous. Like that doesn't help anybody out, right? It makes no sense to me, but that's a whole nother tangent. All right. Well, that's great. Hold up your book again. Let's take a look at that book for people who want to get that copy there. I love that, Sandra. It's how you read that. It's vegan
marketing success stories.
All right. And that's available obviously on Amazon in Canada, not Amazon US. They can print it wherever they go, and they'll use sustainable paper, I'm sure, because we have more trees now than we did 30 years ago. You probably know that. So that's a good thing. Or digital, so it's great.
Ebook, paperback, and audio as well. So you can get all of those links on my website just with my name, sandranamoto.com.
Love it. Any last words of wisdom for people who want to market in that niche?
Just pick up my book. I hope it helps you. And if you want to have a convo with me, hop on social. I'm very easy to get a hold of with my name again. We can do a consult, 30 minutes, and talk about what you can do with your business.
Outstanding. Links are below here, folks. Check it out. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Sandra. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Doug.
You bet. And that wraps up the show today. If you want to take a look at the vegan lifestyle or for your business, check out Sandra's book. She knows what she's talking about. She's a pro. That concludes our show for today. I'm your host, Doug Crow. Have a good one.